Beale or Baldy Beale? It's a simple question. Is it a simple answer? We've had comments before. It's like two baldies fighting over a comb. Well, I tell you what, let's get into it. Your team Beale. I wouldn't go as far as saying I'm Team Clement, but you know what? I'll be the defence attorney for Philip Clement. So let's get into it. Let's get through the paperwork, through the stats, through the records, through the percentages, and let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. One percentage, though, that matters a lot is 51%, because that is the margin that Philippe Clement has won this poll by. 51% to Michael Beale's 49%. I reckon there was a few people that just decided to create accounts late on, because Michael Beale was winning this poll, and then just like Donald Trump got shafted, Michael Beale's been shafted late on. The votes came in overnight, and it's put Philippe Clement ahead.
Mailing ballots, dead people voting for Philip Clement, apparently. I think you'd have to be dead to be backing him still at this point. But you know what? I mean, either way, right? I think the fact that Clement is this close to Beale, a guy who, I mean, let's be honest, won hee-haw and was pretty pish, that's not a good look for Clement. You can whip out one of the best Rangers manager win percentages, but you know what? What's his trophy win percentage, mate?
I actually think he's got the best Rangers manager win percentage of all time.
Oh, what's his trophy? His trophy's one of the fucking worst.
Wasn't there long enough to win trophies.
Aye, are.
No, he wasn't.
I was.
No, he wasn't.
I was.
No, he wasn't.
See, unless he was there for a game, right? That was pre-season. He was there. He was in a final. He was in a semi, and he wasn't there enough to win along trophies. Come on.
Who got Clement's team into the final for his one fucking trophy?
Clement, because Clement won the semi.
Aye, well, who got him to the semi?
Oh, well, why didn't Beale win the semi for himself then?
He could have, but he was up against Celtic. He lost twice to Celtic. I mean, come on.
Aye, but you're pretending that he couldn't have won anything. He could have. He could have won the league as well.
No, he could have, but he wasn't long enough. You're saying that like he was there 3-4 years and he failed time and time again.
He was there just short of a year. He had time to win the league. He had time. But he could have won the league.
Piss off.
He
against that Ange Postecoglou's team.
Yeah, according to you, mate, he worked wonders. So yeah, he put him up against Rodgers.
Well, he did. He won 19 out of 23. How's that bad?
It's not quite 23 out of 23, is it, Michael Beale? Anyway, I mean, he could have won a League Cup. He could have won a Scottish Cup. He didn't. He bottled it on both occasions to Celtic. Didn't turn up. Got it wrong. Arsefold it on numerous occasions. Yo, I am more than willing to admit, right, that if Philip Clement...
How many occasions has Philip Clement got it wrong?
Yeah, every time. But I tell you what, see when Rangers won the League Cup, Celtic weren't in a good place. If you remember, that League Cup was either side of Hearts and Killie and Celtic. So let's be truthful, man. See if Celtic played Rangers at Hampden in a League Cup final, you can't turn around and say to me that Celtic are guaranteed to win that game.
Right, well, I'm glad you brought that up. So that means that the two times that Beale lost to Celtic in the Cup, then Celtic were in a good place.
They were, obviously they were.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I'm bringing up evidence against my client here, Philip Clement. No, you have to admit it though, right? You can't turn around and say that if Celtic played Rangers midway through December last year, it's a guaranteed Celtic win. Because Celtic were poor in December. That was the poorest month. It was our best month. But you know. Anyway, let's get into it. Philip Clement, for me, just edges it because he's got a trophy.
Right, well, let's look at the win percentages then. Michael Beale, 43 games in charge, 31 wins, 4 draws, 8 defeats. That's a win percentage of 72.09. And I would say that that's a very high win percentage, but I think probably one thing that lets Beale down is he's got more losses than draws.
Yeah, that is a poor look.
If you switch that around, I think that's a lot better, even though it wouldn't change the win percentage. But to have 8 losses to the 4 draws, to only pick up 4 draws, it's a lot.
No, I think it's quite impressive as well.
48 plus goal difference, decent.
I think conceding a goal a game is actually not that bad. And you know why I'm going to say it's not that bad? Because when you actually think of it, most of the goals that he conceded were in like the 23-24 season. Conceded 3 against Aberdeen, scored by Celtic, no, only beat 1-0 by Celtic, scored by PSV. You see, I feel like I think defensively, Michael Beale's Rangers weren't actually that bad.
No, and they scored goals as well, well, averaging more than 2 goals a game.
But if you compared it to Gio, like Gio gets scored a lot of times by Celtic, right? And also his Champions League record. See if you looked at Gio's conceded, man, it would be brutal.
Just want to point out that Michael Beale has a better win percentage at Rangers than any of Brendan Rodgers' 2 spells at Celtic.
How many trophies has he got, though?
That's irrelevant when we're talking about trophies. We're talking about win
We're talking about
percentage.
the win percentage
Aye.
trophy?
Aye.
Just like the coefficient
And
cup,
that's a trophy that Michael Beale has over Brendan Rodgers.
Well, it is.
Well, Brendan Rodgers had 2 spells at Celtic, and both his spells have lower win percentages than Michael Beale.
Yeah, but what does that do?
What do you mean? It's win percent?
Aye, but yeah, it's win percentage. What's that do? It does fuck all.
Indicates that Michael Beale's winning more at Rangers than Brendan Rodgers was at Celtic.
Are you seriously going to say that that's brilliant, though? Pretend that that's
It's a fact, though. It can't be denied.
Right, let's just agree to disagree.
72. I mean, I think Ange Postecoglou was 73.4 something.
So yeah, good territory.
So Ange is obviously the benchmark here.
Well, let's just flip
Let's
it.
look at Fleet Clement.
Say Beale had the trophy and Clement didn't. It'd be night and day. But the fact is, he doesn't.
Anyway, Fleet Clement 67.24, 58 games played, 39 won, 9 drawn, 10 lost. So you can see here for Clement, the draws and the losses are very similar, almost the same.
Yep.
But with Michael Beale, he doubled the amount of L's as he did draws, which is weird. But yeah, I mean, win percentage is down just over 5%, which is quite a lot when you're factoring in, you played these amount of games.
No, it is quite a lot. I mean, 67%, again, not a bad... But see, the thing is, right, it's not that bad. But...
It's not good for Rangers, though, is it?
No, it's not. 5% in a win ratio percentage thing is fucking huge.
Yeah, 5% might not seem a lot, but it is quite a lot when you actually factor it in. I believe that Brendan Rodgers is sitting on 69% and 70%. So that's his 2 spells at the club.
Yeah. I mean, the 10 defeats, off the top of my head, who they're against? They are against Ross County. There's a lot against Celtic, one against Benfica, a couple of games there, one game against Kiev. I mean, obviously the game against Lyon. So there's a few European ones in there. I mean, another good stat about Clement is that he's played 5 European away days and he's undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good stat.
That's pretty good. Right, let's look at how Gio Van Bronckhorst has done then. So 68 games at Rangers, 42-1, a win percentage of only 61.76. So that is disappointing. Very disappointing, actually. Just over 60%. It's not great. 131 goals scored in, 68 games. So that, again, is pretty poor. You're averaging less than 2 goals a game, which is not great. You look at that there, and I mean, for me, Beale seems like a big upgrade on Gio.
Yeah, but see Beale though, right? Beale played 3 Champions League games, qualifiers, and then he played the 1 Europa League game. So it's really, I mean, Gio got fucked. It's at the end of the day, he still set the team up, but there's 6 Champions League defeats in there with 23 goals to hoover off you.
No, I accept...
A European run to the final as well, may I add?
I accept that, but do you think that makes up for the 61%? I mean, Michael Beale has more than 10% more. Do you think that if you switch it around and Beale's got the European Champions League games, do you think Gio would have a better win percentage?
Well, you'd have to crunch the numbers.
Well,
right?
I'm just thinking of what they've done in the league. And for me, Gio dropped more points in the league than Beale.
No, of course he did. But, yeah, it would obviously be a lot closer if you switch the European stuff around. But again, it swings and roundabouts, really. Gio beat Celtic a meaningful game at the end of the day, the Scottish Cup semi-final. Did lose a lot of the other ones in the league, though.
He did. And Steven Gerrard, what's Big Gerrard doing? His win percentage at Rangers, 64.8%. 193 games played, 125 draws, 125 wins, 42 draws, and 26 losses. See, this is the way it should. I mean, with Rangers, I think you should have more draws than losses.
Yes.
See, when you've got more losses than draws, I think that's a worry. I think when you're a dominant team, you'd expect to be held more to draws than you would lose.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's strange that Michael Beale had double the losses than draws. But with Gerard, you can see here, 42 draws, 26 defeats, a 64.8 win percent record there. I mean, it's decent.
You know what? I actually think this is a good record. Obviously, it's less than Beale and Clement, right?
But when Gerard came in, Rangers weren't the second best team. They were third. I think you've got to factor that in.
Yes, and in Europe as well, he turned them around. Gerard had a lot of European games. Right? And what you've also got to factor in as well with Gerard is you're right, it was not the same Rangers that it is. I mean, some people would argue Gerard's like first team's probably better than this team right now, but he's played 200 games pretty much.
Yeah,
The more games you play, the less likelihood, the less games you play, theoretically, the best chance you've got of having a higher win percentage. It is what it is. And considering that Rangers had a really poor domestic form in the Cups with Gerard, where he didn't win any of them, that's also got to counteract here.
It does. And let's have a look at the head-to-head then. So, we add there. So, we'll look at how Clement's done in the Old Firm matches, and we'll look at how Beale's done, because that's kind of how these guys are going to be, I guess, in the end of the day, you're going to be remembered for your Old Firm games. So.
Yeah, but it's like you're right though. Look at Gerard; he's third at the 4 in terms of win percentage.
But he smashed Celtic. I think he went 8 out of 13.
Yeah.
So right, I believe they've had 5 each. Well, we know that Clement's had 5. First one was a 2-1 defeat, 30th of December, at Celtic Park. Then he got the 3-3 draw at Ibrox.
That was a victory, actually. Wee morale victory.
Then they lost 2-1 to Celtic in May. Then they lost 1-0 to Celtic 2 weeks later in the Cup, neutral venue. And then they lost 3-0 to Celtic at home. So, Clement's lost the last 3 games against Celtic. He's lost 4 out of the 5. And the one that he didn't lose was a draw. A late draw. May I add? Is that what? Yeah, Matondo late on.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, very close there to being 5 out of 5. And I just don't think you can be the Rangers long-term manager with a record like this. Clement has to win one of these soon. If he loses, is he gone if he loses the next one?
Will he even be here for the next one? I'm not convinced. So, I mean, that's a problem immediately. It's pathetic. I know we talk about gaps, right? And Celtic have obviously got stronger over the summer. But see last season, man, you would be a fucking liar to suggest that the gap wasn't that big. Suggested by the fact that Rangers reeled Celtic in. Yeah, Celtic were underperforming, admittedly. I mean, the strongest are still better than Rangers, but if they're underperforming, then what's Clement's excuse? It was injury crisis sometimes, some of these games, and he couldn't make it count.
No, he couldn't. I believe Beale had 6 games against Celtic. First one, 2-2 draw at Ibrox in the league. Then they lost in the Scottish League Cup to Celtic by 2-1. That was the neutral, wasn't it? Neutral venue. That was the final. Then it was a 3-2 defeat in the league against Celtic. Then Michael Beale lost again in the Scottish Cup. So only 2 back-to-back, cup losses there. But then in the league, they defeated Celtic by 3-0. Probably Michael Beale's best result as Rangers manager.
Oh, absolutely.
But unfortunately, he got off to a bad start, and I mean, Rangers were expected to win this game, even though they'd lost opening game of the season to Kilmarnock. I remember going into this, pretty much nobody gave Celtic a chance. Pretty much half their team was gone. I mean, they had this, the back line was I think it was Scales and Welsh.
Yes.
And, we can remember what happened there. So, Michael Beale has got what? 1 draw. He's got 1 draw and 1 win against Celtic, but also 4 defeats in there.
Awful.
Which ain't great.
Which Clement could match it, like, if he wins the next Old Firm. And again, it's still pathetic. It's nowhere near good enough. Overall, both guys got awful records against Celtic. I mean, yeah, you can argue Beale beat them, which he did. But it was the least meaningful of them all. And for me, that's a problem. And it almost counteracts it. But Clement's got the League Cup trophy to his name. You say, well, he didn't take on Celtic. He didn't. But Beale had numerous opportunities to win trophies. I mean, forget the league, he had 2 chances to win the Cup. In normality, man, if you're going to win a Cup, you do need to beat Celtic, unless you get lucky like Clement, and you only need to beat Aberdeen. A shite Aberdeen. Anyway, let's get into the comments then. Could look at more results here, but Yeah, we could look at. Here we go into the comment section. Let's see what people are thinking. I mean, if it's as split as the vote, it will be extremely split. I'll tell you that much.
Stavros Brainstorm says Big Jock's grandmother was Jewish. Who knew? Joe says neither. Chris Gunn. Beale was horrendous. Come on, man. Was he really? Why was Beale horrendous? Can someone explain? I'm not trying to defend him, but it's like anytime I hear people talk about Beale as if he is hands down the worst Rangers manager of all, and I just don't get why. I don't understand why. When his record doesn't suggest that.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Why though? Why does he get the abuse? Why does he get the stick? I can accept people saying, he's not great, he spent a lot of money.
I think people forget about the previous season.
All they remember is the first 6 games.
Yes. But again, he did lose a semi and a final to Celtic, so I'm not going to pretend it's great. What wasn't great, it was poor, but...
It's not great, but we've seen Rangers managers not get to these semis and finals, and I'm not saying that's an excuse to lose, but for me, he's up against the best Celtic that we've seen. He was up against Hans Postecoglou's Celtic.
Aye. Let's see, Michael Ronald. Think Beale got very unfair treatment, to be honest. Every Rangers manager's a scapegoat. Yes, it wasn't ideal for Beale at times, but the stats are very similar. It just shows no one gets any time anymore.
Stats actually make Beale look good.
Fuck you, said Beale. Big
Mark
Phil.
Anthony. Yeah, Big Phil. None of these.
Fuck you, Mark Anthony. How about that?
None of these fucking clowns. I will not forgive these pieces of shit. When you lose a bunch of Mazzy, Ferguson, tractor boys, daft arse questions like that mean fuck all. What? Celtic from the stands. Paul Le Guen. He wasn't here. Is he the worst though? Nah, it's probably Caixinha, isn't it? Although Paul Le Guen was bad.
But Caixinha, it's pish as Caixinha.
Paul Le Guen had a good team though.
Yeah, I think that's the difference in a period.
Caixinha had a pile of shit.
Even. Yeah, Caixinha, the Bushman.
Mercury. I believe they were both quite normal people. They both went on poisonous hatred filled. Well, there you go. You so-called Rangers fans are talking at your arse. Get a grip. What the fuck? The sheepshaggers and the tags. I'm a Rangers fan myself through and through, but bad, full. Gerard took a couple of years to warm up, and you were shouting for him to get sacked, but he proved himself. Give Philip Clement time. If anything, yeah, I mean, why did Gerard get time? Why was Gerard not booted out in a year? Is it because of the Old Firm? Do you think the Old Firm games gave him... See, if he didn't have a really good record in the Old Firm matches, would he have been sacked before he won? Or was it just...
I think the expectations have just changed. Gerard rebuilt the expectations, and now these guys are dragging it through the mud.
Alrighty.
Aye, so let's go into the other comment. Philip Clement is better in interviews. Hands down, guy should be stand-up comedian. Whistle both of them.
William Flint says, what an absolute shit poll, 2 frauds. Alder FC, that's like deciding who's better, your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriend.
See this absolute shit poll and what the fuck are you guys talking about? I don't get this. We're talking about the 2 most recent Rangers managers, you know? It's not like we've went, here, who was the best 2 East Stirling managers in the fucking 1800s? I mean, this is a relevant fucking poll, so if anyone's got a problem with it, piss off.
Jimbo Phelan says, Beale's still waiting on 3 million compensation, going to courts to get. Thoughts on that?
Where did they whip this shite out for, by the way?
Made up journalism, I think. Mr. Freelance says, good old Mickey Beale, greatest manager we never had.
Bring back Pedro. No.
That's a trick question. We all know Graham Murphy is the answer.
We've had some shite managers.
Russell Muir, I think it's the board pulling all the strings, and he's the butch that's had to do what they say. Bobby the dog. Michael Clement gets my vote.
Michael Clement.
Voldemort says we will be here for at least 8 in a row. I like Clement. I don't think he understands Scottish football and its culture. I think he's content with our league position. Edward McDonald. Equally as impressive as each other. Keep them coming like this for the next 10 years. Brian McHolland says 2 legends of the game, 2 real managers who know how to get the best out of their players and have a clear game plan. John Mason, make them a double act as 2 comics. Whoosh, flying horse. What a stupid question. Sevco, formerly known as Rangers, always do good managers. Keep them coming, hail, hail. Just, some guys are really bad at banter, like, aren't they?
I know.
Fucking awful.
What's that?
Gary Wade says both brilliant. And I think that's where we're going to end it there. Look, not a lot in it in terms of this poll, But for me, I think that Michael Beale was hounded at the club too quickly. Like, I do.
I don't. I wanted him gone. See, in hindsight, right? Could Beale have turned it around? No. Can Clement turn it around? No. We're talking about two guys that are done. One's literally done and one's all but done. So.
Alright, answer this before we end it. Do you not think Michael Beale will be looking at this Rangers situation and thinking, I don't see why Clement's getting more time than me? Do you not think Michael Beale maybe looks at this and he feels hard done by, going, I had a better record than him. I've actually beat Celtic unlike him. I had a higher win percentage than him. I won more games in the league than him. I closed the gap to Celtic unlike him when I took over. Why is this guy getting more time when I didn't? I wasn't behind Aberdeen. You know, if I was Michael Beale, I'd be looking at the situation. I'd be thinking, look, they sacked me after 6 games. Why is he still there?
It's just the way it goes, though, right? Because at the end of the day, Rangers can't afford to keep sacking managers. It could very easily have went Clement then Beale, but it's went Beale then Clement. That's just the way it's went. As for Beale, you know what? He can cry, he can greet, but see, at the end of the day, son, you should have just beat Celtic at Ibrox. You should have just beat Aberdeen at Ibrox, and we wouldn't have this fucking problem.
Could he not just apply for the Rangers job under a new fake Twitter account?
Beale Michael?
Huh?
George Michael?
You gotta have faith. Anyway, that's it, guys. Till next time. Peace.